Where do I begin? The NBA Finals. Finally, all year long, we have came down to this moment. And whether or not before the playoffs started, you believe that either of these two teams was going to make it, because I know I didn't. I had the Thunder making the finals before the playoffs started, and out east, I thought, hey, the Knicks had the best chance, but the way they were playing going into it, I didn't think that they were going to do it. I thought they were going to fold, personally. But to who? I don't know. I thought it would have been the Boston Celtics, the Cleveland Cavaliers, or the Detroit Pistons that might have upset them. But am I surprised the Knicks are here? No, because I said it early on. I said it early on before the season started. The Knicks were the favorites out east to make the finals, and I was right. But I digress. We are here June 3rd, 2026. The NBA Finals. The San Antonio Spurs versus the New York Knicks. This is a finals rematch from 1999. This is the Knicks' first NBA Finals in 27 years. This is the Spurs' first NBA Finals in 12 years. Both these teams are back to where, well, the Spurs are back to where they belong. The Knicks, not so much. They had they had their fun, they had their chances, but now it's a new Knicks team, and it's literally now or never. If they don't win this season, I don't see another opportunity in the near future where the New York Knicks can come back to the NBA Finals. And I hope that they prove me wrong. The Spurs have years on years on years to make the finals over and over again. The Knicks don't have their luxury. So now it's time to really figure out and really break down what I believe how this New York Knicks team is going to match up against the San Antonio Spurs, and what do I believe and who do I believe is going to end up winning in this 7 game series. And to start it off, how the New York Knicks were kind of guarding the Spurs throughout the year, especially in the last game they played against each other in March, was that a lot of people believe that they're going to put like a champagne on Cat and have Wembanyama roam. But what the Knicks did back in March was that they put Castle onto Cat, which I don't think is going to work nowadays because Cat is no longer looking to score the ball, but he's more of being the hub offensively for the New York Knicks, which is a known thing. All playoff long, since game four, they flipped the switch on themselves how they're playing offensively and went through Cat as a hub. So now I don't believe it's a smart way to waste your best perimeter defender on karl-Anthony Towns, who isn't looking to put the ball in the basket as of right now. It's going to change throughout the series. I believe so. I think karl-Anthony Towns, if the Knicks win the finals, could be a sleeper pick for finals MVP. Because I think the defense is going to focus so heavily on Brunson, the Cat is going to find his own night in and night out very easily. Because outside of Victor Wembanyama, there really isn't any Cat stopper on this team. I'm going to keep it a stack with you. That's one thing that the OKC Thunder didn't have, was a big man to really apply pressure so that Vic has to go out there and guard that person. Knicks have that. This is the best offensive center that the Spurs have seen all playoff long. First round was what? Who was the four? Denny and Klingon? Wemby's not worried about either of those. Second round was Randall and Gobert. Wemby's not worried about those. Chet and Hartenstein. Wemby's not worried about them. Now it's Karl-Anthony Towns. He has to worry about Cat offensively. I know throughout the whole entire playoffs, Cat has been the offensive player. He's averaging sub 20 points per game in the entire playoff, which is crazy out of Karl-Anthony Towns. He is not attempting jump shots. He is not really looking to be aggressive offensively, and the Cavs plan for that too. The Cavs scheme against Cat was to neutralize him being a hub. But hey, guess what? You do that, you leave someone like Josh Hart open, he goes for 26 points in game 2. Josh Hart might not be a shooter, but he knows how to get a bucket from time to time. And the way that Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby have been playing, it makes the Spurs really have to play defense because there really isn't anyone to leave open. I guess it is Josh Hart, right? They will test Josh Hart's shooting. Every single game this series, they're going to live and die by Josh Hart shooting. That's just how they're going to play. The same way how they lived and died by Caruso, and Caruso saved the fuck out of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Right? And they're going to pray that Josh Hart can't do the same thing. They're going to test him night in, night out. Even if it goes 5 of 7 from 3, 6 of 8 from 3, 6 of 10 from 3, they're going to test him every single game. And there's going to be games where Josh Hart's not going to perform. But guess what happens when Josh Hart sits? The guy who didn't miss a single three-pointer in the Eastern Conference Finals. Landry Shamet comes in. Do I believe he'll replicate what he did in the Eastern Conference Finals? Oh, no, he won't. I'm going to keep it 100 with you. It's literally physically impossible for him to not miss a shot throughout the whole conference finals. I don't believe he will go perfect, right? but he is gonna shoot about 40%, close to 40%, maybe even 50%. He might be one. Hey, he might even not miss a shot. Who knows? We will see what happens. But when Josh Hart sits, Landry Shamet comes into the game, and now you can't leave someone open. Now you just can't. Who's Wemby gonna roam off of? No one. Realistically, you can't leave Cat open. That's for damn sure. But they will test the shooters of when Jose Alvarado comes to the game. Hey, we're testing him shooting. We will test him shooting the ball. Deuce McBride, hey, you've been really inconsistent. Shoot that ball. Clarkson, oh yeah, buddy, let that bitch fly. They're gonna test every single player in New York. And God forbid Jeremy Sochan sees the court. I doubt it, but God forbid he sees the court tonight. Or anytime in this series. The Spurs would be licking their chops. Well, one thing about Mike Brown is that he is willing to adjust throughout the series and within game time too. A lot of these coaches, like Mitch Johnson in particular, only adjust from game to game mostly. Mike Brown does a lot of small X and O adjustments throughout the game. Sometimes he waits to see, okay, I know I can get to this, but I'm gonna wait for a bit to know, okay, I can get this towards the end of the game where I know I can close it out by doing it. Main example isn't that Cleveland series. Is where to start the game, obviously they had OG on Evan Mobley and then Cat onto Jared Allen. But in doing so, you allow Jared Allen to be the screen setter who's a way better screen setter than Evan Mobley, and that causes Cat and Brunson or Cat whoever is up top having to be in that pick and roll action. But now when you throw in like a Mikal onto like a Harden, and then Jared Allen send the screen, so instead of it being Cat coming up, they put OG onto Jared Allen. So now they're switching. So now you have your best perimeter defender guarding their best guard. And what are you left with? A dead possession. Because you don't want OG to be on your best guard. He's basically going to shut down the whole possession. It's going to be hard to score an OG Anunoby. And I'm expecting them to do something similar in the sense of it's going to be OG onto Victor Wembanyama. 100%. The question is, are the Spurs going to now use Champagnie as the screener? Or do they live and die by the fact, hey, if OG does switch on to like a De'Aaron Fox or Castle, do we just try to find that pass down to Wemby? It's going to be so hard to switch. But one thing Knicks have been really good at this entire playoff run has been the tag and switch on pick and rolls, where it was really prominent in that Sixers series when it was Maxey and Embiid, where they would blitz the ball handler and have someone from the weak side or the strong side even tag the roller until the center can rotate. And in doing so, it makes it so hard that the guard has to throw a skip pass onto the corner, and it makes it such a hard pass to make for majority of players not named Luka, Jokic, or LeBron. A lot of these a lot of the point guards in the league can't make that pass unless you're Luka, LeBron, or Jokic. The Knicks have been really good at knowing their personnel and talent, and think about Castle, Fox, and Dylan Harper as they are, I would say, especially De'Aaron Fox, the above average passer and playmaker. He just isn't up to the upper echelon of passer and playmaker. And they're gonna dare De'Aaron Fox to make shots. They're gonna dare De'Aaron Fox to beat them. Because De'Aaron Fox has not been good this entire playoff run. He's been alright. He's had stretches, but he also has been hurt. So we don't know exactly what's gonna come out of this series from the Spurs side of things, because they will. The Knicks are gonna test the guards of San Antonio. They're going to see if De'Aaron Fox, Castle, and Dylan Harper can make shots. Anyone not named Julian Champagnie and Devin Vassell, they're gonna dare them to shoot. They're going to live with the results. That's kind of what they did in the Cleveland series. Anyone not named like a Sam Murrell or Max Strus or the top two guards, those four players, anyone not named them, they kind of just dared them to shoot. They were heavily focusing on their main shooters and the main passer and playmakers. But one thing I will say about the Knicks, they have the advantage here, is that this is kind of like over the last two series, Castle and Fox are kind of the worst guards they've seen in a while. Because obviously, I think Maxey is better than both of them. Maxey didn't have a good series, but I think that's just credit. That's just credit to the Knicks offense, to the Knicks defense, that they kind of iced out Maxey. Harden and Mitchell, Harden was non-existent. They put Harden into action every single time, made him non-existent on the offensive end. And Donovan Mitchell was kind of coasting. I mean, it's not like he had a terrible series, but he didn't have a great one either. It was kind of all right. And they lived by that. Donovan Mitchell never really exploded. You never got that Donovan game, which they'll take. So go into this, you're like, okay, these are three guards, three good to great guards, also caliber player in De'Aaron Fox. Young prospects in Castle and Harper who have both shown flashes in that Thunder series of how good they could be, even though Castle has a bad turnover problem. But with De'Aaron Fox there, he turned the ball over less. But I say all this to say, one thing Knicks can't account for is that 7'5" alien who is debatably the best player in the world at the age of 22 years old, named Victor Wembanyama. Knicks can do everything in their power. The Knicks' only true defensive center is Mitchell Robinson, but he can't play more than 15 to 20 minutes per game. And even then, you are heavily rely on him to be actually a threat on the offensive end to make this usable. Because if the Spurs sense a little bit of a run from the New York Knicks, guess exactly what they're gonna do. Mitch, free throw line. Every single time. Anytime they sense Mitch is on the court and they're making a run, hey Mitch, free throw line. And that's gonna be the issue. And also another thing is if Mitch can't play, if he is getting fouled a lot, if he's taking a lot of free throws, and then you're left with Cat being out there. And my biggest concern with karl-Anthony Towns is the idea that he can't keep his fucking hands to himself. We are in year 11 of Cat. Year 11. And he's still making the same mistakes he made when he was a rookie. When it was year 1, year 2, year 3. karl-Anthony Towns is still making the same exact mistakes he made all those years ago. And for whatever reason that is, I don't know. That's just who he is. He's always going to be a player that picks up such sloppy fouls for no reason at all. He was getting into foul trouble in that Sixers series when Embiid was out. He was getting into foul trouble in that Sixers series when he had to guard Andre Drummond and Adam Bona. Let that sink in. Adam Bona and Andre Drummond were getting into foul trouble. I think he was a lot better in that Cavs series, but also that was just because he had to guard Evan Mobley, and his way of guarding Evan Mobley was like, hey, and I will live with the results. And Mobley is a great screen setter, so they weren't really using Mobley as a screener as much because it wasn't working. He's not a hard screen setter. So whoever was guarding Mitchell or Harden was just fighting over those screens every single time. And that's where you get the result of a sweep. And I think that the Spurs are going to have to find a way to don't worry about Brunson getting Brunson into action. The Spurs' main priority should be getting Cat into action. Because if you manage to make Cat unplayable, get him into foul trouble, and then Mitch comes into the game, and you get Mitch to be unplayable, get him into, hey, take free throws. Hey, we're going to clog the paint now because Mitch is here. Hey, Mitch can be sent to the screen, but Victor's still going to be in the paint. When it comes down to doing that, and Cat's in foul trouble, and now those are the only two viable centers you have on the roster, getting into trouble early. And the thing about Victor Wembanyama, he will get your bigs into foul trouble, or at least make it so that they look unplayable. Mitch is going to be overly aggressive, obviously, right? That is exactly what he's going to do. He's going to really play, but he's going to be overly aggressive, and he's going to use all his fouls. Rightfully so, he should. Mitch should be the one to be fouling a lot, because he's barely going to play regardless. So Miles will make them count. But damn, I just don't see how they could stop Victor Wembanyama on a night-to-night basis. What's going to be their game plan going into this game? Are they going to start with Cat on him and then kind of adjust as they go on? Or do they go balls to the wall and throw OG on him off the start? Because OG is like the prototypical, I guess, Wembanyama stopper. Or not stopper. No one can really stop Victor. More of the best defender, realistically. You need someone smaller to kind of get under him and get physical with him. OG can do that. And he's strong. OG is a strong defender, athletic defender, shorter than Wembanyama, but not too short where that he could just go over him easily, and he's good with his hand. Everything about OG is the prototypical 1B defender. But also the problem with OG is that, actually no, I really like the idea of OG being on him off the rip. I think OG should start on him, but the problem is that Cat would have to be on like Champagnie, and I don't mind that either. Champagnie isn't going to beat Cat off the dribble. Champagnie isn't going to try to look for open threes. I think it's just that, and then Brunson, and then you're going to try to hide Brunson onto like Dan Vassell. Don't mind that either. I think that Brunson can kind of hold his own in Vassell. Then Mikal and Hart onto both the guards. Whoever else is going off Mikal is going to be on them. I do think they match up pretty well against them. It's just that the Spurs' depth kind of outweighs the Knicks' depth. But I thought the same thing against the Cavs, where the Cavs' depth outweighed the Knicks' depth, but it didn't really work out. Obviously, the biggest X factor for both these teams, I think the biggest X factor for the Spurs is De'Aaron Fox. I mean, if De'Aaron Fox can put 2 feet into the paint every single time, and honestly, not just De'Aaron, Castle, and Harper, all three of them have the ability to get 2 feet into the paint every single time. And if Mitch isn't there, that paint is kind of just open. And they're gonna keep attacking the paint because like I said before, even though Cat is their best offensive center, but also Cat is the worst defensive center they've seen in the playoffs this far. Like I said, Klingham's in that paint, Gobert was in that paint, Chet and Hartenstein are in that paint, and then you go from Chet and Hartenstein to then seeing Cat. So if you're the Knicks, you kind of look at if you're the Spurs, like, hey, now we were heavily reliant on getting jump shots in against the Thunder, but now we can get back to our bread and butter, which is the paint. And then if you even go back to their first matchup this season in the NBA Cup Final, even though Victor Wembanyama barely played this game, remember he's coming off the bench, coming off an injury, kind of take this game as a grain of salt, kind of, but you kind of see where the Knicks were going and where they were just letting them shoot. That was the whole game plan for the series for this game. The NBA Cup Final was like, hey, Vassell 2 of 7 from 3, Harrison Barnes 0 of 4 from 3, Castle 1 of 3, Fox 2 of 6, Wembanyama 2 of 6. Dylan Harper was 5 of 7, but you kind of live with that. You live with the fact Dylan Harper was 5 of 7 from 3. Julian Champagnie 1 of 4. Keldon Johnson 1 of 2. You live with the results of letting them shoot. Because at the end of the day, you win some and you lose some. You gamble. That's just what the Knicks are going to do. They're going to gamble on them shooting because they aren't a great three-point shooting team. Outside of Vassell and Champagnie, no one's really going to beat you from 3. And then if you see, and they play each other a couple weeks later, and they tried the same thing, and what happened? Well, you get a game where Champagnie goes 11 of 17 from 3. And that game happens again. You chalk it up like, hey, we did our best. No one else shot good from 3. It was just Victor Wembanyama who were 2 of 2, and then De'Aaron Fox went 1 of 8. They made 14 threes that game. 11 were Champagnie. You see what I'm saying? They're gonna live and die by everyone shooting the ball that's not named Champagnie and Vassell. And that's just and hey, if they beat us 3-point shooting, they beat us 3-point shooting. This is a best of 7 series. That's the best way that we're gonna get out of this. It's to kind of like clog the paint and make sure guys like Castle, Fox, Harper, and Wemby can't get to the paint easily. Because if they do, we are cooked. We have no way of stopping them getting 2 feet into the paint every single time. And we don't have a guy we can funnel them into to make this easier. So we all have to pack the paint. That should be the game plan. One thing you can't do like what OKC did is that they repeatedly helped off of shooters, especially come late game. That they focused so much on Wemby, and then we saw in Game 7, Keldon Johnson hit 2 big threes to start the fourth quarter. That's gonna happen. These Spurs players are gonna hit timely threes, and it's gonna feel like daggers every single time. We've seen it time and time again. One thing about the New York Knicks, though, the Spurs are gonna try, like I said, they're gonna try to play off of Josh Hart, but the Knicks are just so offensively talented from top to bottom that OG and Mikal are gonna be such big X factors in this. I know it sounds crazy to say, oh, the second highest paid player on the team is X factor. Yeah, he is. Because not just defensively, we know what OG can do defensively, but if he could keep up that offensive intake that he did throughout the whole playoffs, it's going to be so hard for the Spurs to defend. Because again, they are a small team, so they're going to try to help off a lot on Brunson, on Cat, on trying to make sure that they can get easy looks. But if OG and Mikal get going, because we saw it in the Cup Final game. In the Cup Final game, OG had 28. He was the leading scorer. And yeah, I know Brunson had 25, but the leading scorer was OG. When they played again in March, it was Mikal who was the leading scorer at 25. It just goes to show it. And then Brunson's always there in the second, but we know what Brunson's going to do. Brunson's going to do Brunson things every single time. It's just about that, can they stop a second guy from going off, which has not been the good case for them. Because the last time they played, the Spurs, the Knicks put belt to ass, beating them by 25. So anything is really possible here. And before the series started, and before even like yesterday, I was so convinced that the Spurs are going to win in 6. But now I'm actually sitting here convincing myself that, the Knicks might actually do it. I feel like this was the best outcome from them out of the Thunder Spurs series. I think it's the Thunder winning in 5. But now it's the Spurs, and I do believe the Knicks have the edge here. I'm really talking myself into the Knicks having the edge here. I'm not going to lie. I know, but also taking these regular season games with such a grain of salt just because that, hey, the regular season, and both these teams don't play anything like they did in the regular season. The Knicks are no longer looking at Cat as an offensive option, but more as the offensive hub to get others involved. That's kind of how the Knicks are playing it, and then the Spurs have kind of just on a game to game basis look like different teams. So it just depends on what version of the Spurs you want to get. And I do believe that Mike Brown, being the experienced coach here, isn't his first NBA Finals. Remember, he made it 07 with LeBron. Isn't his first NBA, but he made multiple NBA Finals with the Warriors as an assistant coach. He's also a big Popovich disciple. So there's so many things that go into Mike Brown, all the experience he's had throughout the years, that might give him the edge coaching wise. I think Mitch Johnson will get out coached in this series. He isn't playing against a brain dead coach in Mark Dagnall. Mark Dagnall was not willing to make adjustments. This Mike Brown is. Now, one thing about the Spurs is that they can't play Brunson like how they played Shea. Because if they do, Knicks are too talented. But I do think they will try. I do think they will try to double Brunson just to see, hey, if we can, we'll try it for a half. We'll try it for a game. Might try it for a full game one. Let's double Brunson. Try to get him drained. Let's pick him up 94 feet every single time. Let's see if we get him tired. Because then again, the Knicks haven't played a good defense since the Hawks series. And in the Hawks series, they did struggle to start the series. Right? We all could agree on that. Whether it is coaching problems, changes, whatever. But they did change it up. They did struggle to start the series against lengthier defenders. They don't have a Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and they don't have a Dyson Daniels, but they do have a Stephon Castle and a Carter Bryant, who are both very good defenders. They will try the doubling strategy. They will try just putting Castle straight up. They will try just having Dylan Harper guard him one-on-one, throw different bodies at him, different looks at him, and try to make Brunson think. And when it comes down to it, hey, if we have to go down to, hey, we're going to let Brunson ISO and not help, not double, just let him ISO one-on-one, we will live and die with it. Just as long as if, honestly speaking, there really isn't a defensive liability in a sense on the Spurs like there was for the Cavs, there was for the Hawks, there was for the Sixers, where that the starting lineup for the Spurs at the bare minimum can hold their own defensively. Or they all some are better than others. Vassell, Champagny, and Fox. Vassell and Champagny especially are, I would say, average to above average defenders. Fox is a good to great defender, and Cass is a great defender. And obviously, when you have Victor Wembanyama in the back line, everyone looks like a good defender. I think this will be a really interesting series. I kind of talked myself into a good series here. I'm not gonna lie. Coming into this, I really thought, hey, Spurs are gonna probably win in 5 or 6. Now I'm leaning the series goes to 6 or 7, and I'm praying goes to 7. Back-to-back game 7s in the NBA Finals. Sign me up. But I still wanna say, because the talent of the Spurs is just way too much. When you do have a Victor Wembanyama, you tend to just lean towards the best player on the better team, realistically speaking. But the Knicks have looked like the better team throughout the whole playoffs, from top to bottom, offensively and defensively. But they haven't really gotten challenged. And this Spurs team's gonna make them think. It's gonna make them get challenged. Fuck. My gut is still gonna tell me the Spurs. Being from New York, I do want to give New York the benefit of the doubt, just because they've been very well rested. The Spurs played 3 days ago, 4 days ago. The Knicks haven't played in a week and a half, but maybe the rust is gonna get to them. Oh my god, I actually don't know. Going into those, when I say Spurs in 6, I'm still want to lean towards Spurs in 6, but because I kind of just sat here for a little bit and talked myself into this, I might have to go Knicks in 7 here. Might be Knicks in 7. You know what? I'm going with Knicks in 7. I think Knicks pull the series off in 7 games. 100%. There's doubt in my mind. I mean, this series go either way. If the Spurs win in 5, I'll be like, hey, I wouldn't be surprised either. Right? I think the Knicks play a hell of a series, or they shit the bed. The Spurs gonna do Spurs things, but can the Knicks match that up how they've been doing all year, all season, all playoffs long? If the Knicks win in 5, though, I will be surprised. They win in 6, not really. Like I said, I do believe the series goes 6 or 7 games at the bare minimum, and it can go either way. I'm sticking to my initial guess, Knicks in 7. We're gonna find out if I'm right or not. But as always, go hard on them dudes. Salute.